What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Geekly podcast. This is episode 6.
This is episode 6, yes
Episode
it is.
6, recorded August 4th, 2016 at 7:38 p.m. precisely. My name is Will. I'm here with my co-host, Daniel. Daniel, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great. It's 7:38 p.m., my favorite time of the day.
Good. So if you guys don't know how this program works, I bring 3 articles of my choosing to the table. Daniel brings 3 to the table, and we spend a good bit of time discussing each of them because ideally they're articles that are worth discussing. And
So we'd hope.
so we hope, correct. Our last episode, the segment that we talked about the Nintendo NX rumors, did very well. Lots of
Yes,
interest
indeed.
on that, which was good because that's an interesting topic to us. That's something we really enjoyed discussing. Obviously, that was like a 30-minute
Right.
video, just that segment.
Yeah.
So that's how this thing goes. I know Daniel, he is on a time constraint right now, so we may have to cut the collector's item of the week, which I know is everyone's favorite segment. If we don't get to it, it's the $150 Snorlax beanbag chair. But, you know, we'll get to that segment if we can.
Tease the kids.
Right,
Tease them.
right. So, anything else you want to say, Daniel, before we kick this off?
Just besides that, I have only 2 stories this week. Not much big news broke, but yeah, there are 2 big stories that I'm going to talk about.
Yes,
But
sir.
yeah, that's it.
All right, let's go ahead and get into this. So the first story we're going to be talking about is the new Xbox One S. That is the slim console that was that's either been released or is being prepared to release very, very soon. It was announced at E3. Of course, it had leaked previously to that. But basically, this is just the slim Xbox One with the terabyte or 2 terabyte hard drive. Xbox hasn't really marketed this as a performance change, so to speak, outside of the hard drive space and just a few different things with the GPU. If you just want to look at the statistics here real quick, they have the same CPU, the 1.75 gigahertz AMD Jaguar 8 core. The GPU clock, the Xbox One S has 914 megahertz, and Xbox One is 853 megahertz. So about 50 megahertz of a difference, but of course nothing major. And then the computing performance, the Xbox One S is at 1.4 teraflops, and the Xbox One is at 1.31 teraflops. So, of course, like I said, Microsoft never really marketed this as a paradigm shift in the technology. It was just more so, this will be a little better, and here's some more memory. Because games nowadays, they require a lot of storage.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, ironically, I've never heard of this happening. So reviewers are getting their hands on this console, and it's actually better than what the company has reported. So Eurogamer, the source that we reported on about the Nintendo NX last week, they got their hands on Xbox One S, and they did some technical tests with various games, and they found that there's actually some frames per second improvements with this Xbox One or Xbox S. So the first quote here, this is from Microsoft's Albert Pinello. He's the Senior Director of Product Management and Planning. He said, some games, ones that utilize dynamic resolution and or unlocked frame rates, may see a very minor performance improvement. Our testing internally has shown this to be pretty minor and is only measurable on certain games, so we didn't want to make it a selling point for the new console. And that shows with these tests that they do. So right here, they tested it first with Project Cars, which was that like hyper-realistic racing simulator game that was released.
Classic.
Classic. So they tested on that. And right here, Eurogamer reports, Project Cars aims for 60 FPS, but in a rain-lashed Monaco stacked up with vehicles, it rarely achieves it. So ideally, what's that referring to is on Xbox One, they want to get 60 FPS, but with everything going on screen, can't necessarily achieve that. But when testing this with the Xbox One S, using the game's replay feature, we can directly copy the rendering load across sessions. And the results, a 7% improvement may not sound immense, but this is averaged across the run. And the moment differentials can be as high as 5 SPS. So that doesn't sound major. But what they said right there, a 7% improvement may not sound immense, but it's average, which means across the entire session, even in really like graphic heavy sections of the game, it still saw an improvement. Restarting the replay from the third-person chase cam view, which is a gameplay angle, the performance increase rises to 11%. And then they went on, they tested it with Hitman, which was released by Interactive, the most recent one. It has the option to lock at 30 FPS or run completely unlocked, albeit with VSync engaged. Really, the only game I can think of that I've played with the FPS unlocked on console would be the original BioShock. They allowed you to turn off the frames per second lock.
That's the only really games that I know of that do that, or the BioShock
right,
games.
And there was a lot of screen tearing, so that's where the VSync comes in. So they test Hitman. They had already played it on the PS4 and Xbox One, and now they tested it with the Xbox One S. And, quote, in a direct like-for-like cutscene comparison, the Xbox One S is 6.1% faster than its predecessor. And although the gameplay comparison isn't 100% locked in the way we would like, the differential there increases to 8.1%. So yet again, another example of this console that was not marketed as an improving performance. And I think the really important thing, where is it? It's somewhere in here. I can't find it, but basically what they are explaining is that the GPU, and I'm not too technical with PC yet, but from my understanding, Eurogamer does a good job of breaking it down. GPU is not the sole decider on performance improvement. So there are parts of Hitman that even though it saw that improvement, the 8.1% improvement during cutscenes and stuff like that, there wasn't the improvement during NPC heavy portions because that has to do with the CPU. So it's separate parts of the machine that control separate things, and it's the GPU that's performing these frames per second or the resolution increase, which is very interesting. So really the main thing that I want to take out of this is the fact that I think this is just another, I mean, we talked about it with Nintendo. I think this is another example of Microsoft just really getting on their A game with the Xbox, and they're not risking anything. They don't want another PR disaster
debacle,
right?
Like that one E3.
So what Xbox is doing is they ran tests and they saw that there were slight improvements on some games and some situations. They could have marketed this as Xbox One S improved frame rate. Would that be true? Technically,
but it wouldn't have been as monumental. You wouldn't want to put that headline up if it really was like a major, improvement.
And instead of reading this article about how Xbox was being modest and how the console does better than they said, we'd be reading articles about how it does worse than they said. And then we just have another PR disaster like we did when it launched. So I just want to bring this up to just, again, give credit to Xbox where credit is due. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, Eurogamer says it and Microsoft says it. It's not a major improvement, but it is still an improvement, and they weren't overhyping it.
And especially for me, when I was watching E3 Live, and they're like 2 terabyte for the same price that you pay for PlayStation 4. Now, granted, PlayStation 4 is stronger, and don't get me wrong, I love my PlayStation 4, but I mean, Xbox One is killing it right now. Yeah. And if I had the same money for the same to get the same thing, I probably would go with Xbox right now. I mean, for people who don't have next-gen consoles, this is a great time to get in because 2 terabyte. Performance, when it comes to games, you can't really tell the difference until you truly analyze and look at the difference. That's just me personally. I know that the difference is there when it comes to frame rate and things like that. But until you've actually experienced it on 2 different things, it doesn't really matter to you as a consumer, unless it really does. But I just think, it's a good move for Microsoft. It's effective. It's going to phase out the older, bulkier models, which are just atrocious to look at.
Look like VCR players.
Honestly, with the big old double power brick that's in the back. But no, I think this is a good move. Get rid of Kinect, make it compact as possible, beautiful looking as possible, and easy for consumers to get their hands on.
And again, referencing our last episode, this is just good competition, which only benefits us. Because Sony's going to have to release their PS4 Slim with their 2 terabyte hard drive. they're going to have to if they want to compete. And that's only going to benefit us.
Yeah, and they should definitely put out some better free games in the moment. That's just my 2 cents. All right, so with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going on to our next story. And guess what, folks? We're going to talk about Suicide Squad. Now, by the time you're listening to this, ladies and gentlemen, my review would have been up, and I would have given you my thoughts on the film. But as of recording this is the Thursday of the film coming out. I'm going to watch it on Friday. So I haven't seen the film, but yet it is still important to talk about how people are already reacting before watching the film. So, the review embargo lifted for Suicide Squad on, I believe, Tuesday night, around midnight, I believe. And essentially, for those of you who do not know what that means, it means that you're not allowed to review the film until a certain point. Now, strategically, depending on how confident you are in your film, you will let people review it earlier or later.
Right.
Let me give you 2 examples. So you think of Fantastic Four or Fant Four Stick, depending on how you read the title box card. That film had the review embargo not being able to be lifted until the day, or I think it was the day before or 2 days before the film came out. That movie was obviously trash. Now, if you look at Captain America Civil War, that review embargo lifted, I believe, 3 weeks before the film came out. So,
because they had nothing to hide.
They were walking strong and pulled down their pants right in front of the entire world. And hey, they had something to show for it. So now we're in that same situation with Suicide Squad. The review embargo just lifted. It's about 3 or 4 days before the film comes out. And guys, the reviews have been pretty mixed to negative. Now, like I said, this as of recording this is before the whole entire public gets a hold of this film and gets their eyes on it. Mm-hmm. But some people, now let me remind you, who haven't seen the film are quite upset by the vitriol being thrown at these DC movies. And because of this, some excellent young chaps decided that they were going to start a petition on change.org to
it's on change.org.
It is on change.org. You know that thing that people use?
Well, the thing that's supposed to, be sent to the White House after a certain amount of signatures.
The thing that people use for shootings and to repeal laws.
I love it.
To talk to Congress.
I love it, dude.
A group of people, fans like me, were so upset and so insecure about their own opinion being held true against others that they decided to start a petition and saying they want Rotten Tomatoes to become shut down. Because I think currently right now the film sits at a 32 or 33% of me recording from the critic rating. And people are saying that critics aren't giving DC movies a fair chance, that they're always pouncing on these films and shredding these films apart just because they can, and it really, really hurts the film. Grrr! And so because of that, I think as of now, it's at 7,000 people have signed it and things like that. But essentially what the person had to say who created this was that they know they're not going to shut down the website, but they just want this to send out a message. They want to fire warning shots in the sky to let the internet and let all the critics know that DC fans don't appreciate it, and that these films deserve more fair reviews and more respect. Now, here's the thing. I have a heart. I have a nice, warm, soft heart that pumps blood through my body.
Really?
And I also have a metaphorical heart as well. One that carries emotions and is tethered to it. And beneath that harsh exterior of that black void I call my heart is also my nerd heart. There where I care so much for DC, because DC is what I was raised on, and I love DC comic books and movies and who's what and all that rubbish. But yet, just because someone has an entirely different opinion than you does not mean that you should have the right to try to stop them from spreading their opinion.
Right.
It's not fair. That's not how our country works. And I understand, because there is a difference between people just hating on a movie because it's cool. Because, article after article after article came out after the reviews came out talking about, oh, what a disappointment it is, and oh, when it comes to Batman v Superman. Sure, some of it was fair, some of it wasn't. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to be able to be, an adult and be able to look at these opinions and say, hey, these are not mine. Because look, I'm Daniel Hargrove, guys, and I'm a person who loves Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition. Don't get me wrong, not the theatrical crap. I'm able to own up and look at a film and be like, in my opinion, yes, I believe this film has flaws and I can't support this. It's just not that good. I found it disappointing as well. But when the Ultimate Edition came out, I was like, yo, this is the beeswax and I love this. This is amazing. And that's how it was. And I still stick by that opinion for the Ultimate Edition. Guys, it's not that deep. That's really what this story boils down to. Hashtag it's not that deep.
Yeah, I saw the headline that there is a petition to take down Rotten Tomatoes, and that was the headline. I didn't see why, but then I saw it was about like DC comic fans. I was like, oh.
And there's two things that makes the situation even funnier. One, Rotten Tomatoes doesn't review films. It is literally just a website that pulls together all reviews from certified critics, and then they take the ratings that the critics gave and then make an average.
Right.
That's all it does. No one is on there saying, oh, we gotta get DC hate on here. These are individual reviews from certified critics who in their own right and in their own individual conscience decided to post a review. Now, granted, I can say that sometimes you look at some reviews, you're like, okay, you wouldn't say the same thing about Marvel,
right,
but it's
right.
all right. We'll let it go. But essentially, the second thing that makes it even funnier is that Warner Brothers produces DC films, but also Warner Brothers is a minority share owner of Rotten Tomatoes. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Daniel.
Just end it there. I did not know that. Wow.
Yep. So just let that just settle in the air.
Well, on a somewhat related topic in terms of people's opinions, we have an article. I'm going to be talking about a TV topic, ladies and gentlemen. I'm branching out of my shell. So this is something that was on the front page of Reddit. You guys may have seen this already. The headline is, viewers won't adopt existing series if they can't easily access all past episodes, NBC research chief says. So the summary of this article is that, surprisingly, viewers are apprehensive to begin watching a new show if they cannot watch all previous episodes easily. What does easily mean? That's different from, my opinion of easy is different from NBC's opinion of easy. My opinion of easy, of course, is a free stream. But I know that's not the realistic easy. NBC's easy is offer a subscription model for your on-demand episodes, which is fine. That's their right, and they should do that if they don't already. There's some quotes in here that it's strange, like reading this, I wasn't surprised in the slightest. You know, I feel like this is already kind of assumed knowledge in a way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to jump into season 5 of Walking Dead if I don't have access to seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
And easily, without having to pirate them.
Of course not. But yeah, like when my girlfriend comes over for the weekends or things like that and I get to see her, like, because I have access to Netflix, I show her whatever show I can that I know we can finish in a certain amount of time, because I know she doesn't have access to it and she doesn't want to go through the hassle of trying to get a certain streaming service to get this certain thing. Right.
So some of the quotes in here, all of these are coming from Alan Wurtzel. He is NBC's President of Research and Media Development. One of the quotes in here from Deadline.com, which is where the article is from.
Oh, word.
Presenting a brain-blistering amount of data on viewing trends based on NBC's research, Wurtzel also revealed that, in a sort of catch-22, more than half of people said that even if they hear good things about a show, quotes, if I can't see the previous stuff before I go to the new episodes, I'm not gonna watch it. Duh. I've heard great things about Game of Thrones. Let me watch, season 4, episode 3, because it's on right now. No, that's not how it works. When in this modern age of TV, where there are incredibly in-depth shows on TV right now, very story-driven with continuous story arcs, you're not supposed to only watch the one that's on. You're supposed to watch everything before it. That's the way it goes. And I apologize. I should have read this very first paragraph because it kind of connects to what I just read. The first paragraph in this article is, nearly half of viewers say they wait until they've heard good things about a show before they will start watching it. So that connects to the next question, where even if they've heard good things, if they can't have access to it, they still won't watch it. And again, not surprised. And the last quote here, it's a very short article, so what I'm quoting is almost the whole article. Quote, and of particular interest to network execs before the start of the new TV season, 72% said they were more likely to start watching a returning series this fall on broadcast networks if they had access to all the past episodes on demand or online to catch up. Quote, this is what people want, Wurtzel says of the new data showing people want to watch stories in a coherent narrative order. Quote, and we have to figure out a way to get it to them. Duh.
Yeah. Really?
It's like
it
like
is pretty frustrating.
The data that they brought to this presentation for these, executive bigwigs, it was just stuff you knew. They just were able to put numbers on it now.
I just think it's like, did y'all never see TV before?
Right.
You never thought, man, I wish I could watch this.
Right.
Watch the episode that came before.
You guys know.
But yeah, it is frustrating because you'll have there's so many subscription services nowadays. And it's for example, my favorite TV show of all time probably is Hannibal. But you can only get that if you have Amazon Prime Video. And I don't even know how much that costs individually because I paid $90 already just for the overall Amazon Prime. And it's just on top of that plus Netflix. It's hard to keep up and encourage people this is the best TV show I've ever seen.
Right.
Well.
And I think you just brought something really important up. Like NBC, they have their NBC Go or whatever it's called, and that's the only place you can get NBC content. And when people are talking about wanting, they want it easily, they want to be able to watch this, and if it means pay for it, then they'll pay for it. They just want access to it. They don't want to have to pay for Netflix, for House of Cards and Stranger Things, and then Amazon Prime for Hannibal and whatever other exclusive series they have. And they don't want to pay for Hulu for their exclusive shows, and then NBC Go, and then HBO Go. I mean, that comes out to more than the cable bill they're trying to get rid of every month. So I'm not saying that all this competition should go away and we should only have Netflix or Amazon or whatever, but I think ABC and NBC and HBO that have their own services, they need to look in to kind of making their programs accessible from other programs. And it's strange because I definitely see where they're coming from. This is our content. We have, paid for it to be made. We want people to pay us to view it. But like I just said, people are going to have to end up paying for 10 streaming services. And some of these services they'll pay for once just to watch the one show. So it's like it's almost like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like you're giving people all these options, but none of them have repeating features. It's like Netflix has this, and this, but Hulu has this, and this. And that's the appeal, try to drag people in with these exclusive programs.
The exclusivity, yeah.
But again, you can't expect people to pay for every service available.
Yeah, and I think that's where Netflix is killing it because they understand exclusivity and they're trying to get things earlier, like Walking Dead, they try to get that earlier on there. All the CW shows, they try to get those seasons on earlier. But what they learned is the best way to even keep pushing streaming farther is by having original content that's actually good.
Definitely.
And I think that's where they have the upper leg. So I think studios are definitely trying to get on that train too. Amazon's trying to get into films. It's a lot going on, but I think Netflix is definitely ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and good for them because of their success, they're able to develop and fund and produce these incredible shows with these great reputations. Original programming on a streaming exclusive program. 10 years ago, I mean, Netflix would have never been able to do something like this.
Right.
But now it's commonplace. People look forward to what Netflix makes next, which is awesome.
Hey.
So yeah, that's the article. The headline's basically viewers want stuff easily. per NBC. That's the headline.
That'll be the title. All right, guys. So, talking about things that should be pretty obvious, the concept of letting your directors direct the films that you assign them to do. Now, my second and final topic for me is going to be talking about Suicide Squad. And yet, let me reiterate that at the time of recording this, I have not seen the film. And this report that I am discussing, I don't know if it's been validated from other people. Someone's going, yes, that's true. The film was perfectly fine. I don't know. But I am reading this report from The Hollywood Reporter by Kim Masters, which was published on August 3rd. Wait, no? August 3rd. August 3rd. Yeah, August 3rd, 2016. Now, this article gives this in-depth look into the production of Suicide Squad, and that there were actually a lot of problems going on with the film in a sense that they had very little time. Now, the CEO of Warner Brothers, by the name of Kevin Tsuchihara, who, running this company to the ground, Kevin Tsuchihara, the CEO, decided that he was going to announce the slates for all of DC films for the next 10 films stretching out to 2020. He thought they would have enough time to create Suicide Squad in the same year that Batman v Superman was going to happen. They assigned David Ayer to write the script, and he was going to direct the movie, but from the get-go, the project was seemingly rushed, saying, quote, Ayer wrote the script in like 6 weeks, and then they just went. And then the article moves on to, it's not just that you've been told in the public that the movies are coming, you've made huge deals around the world with huge branding partners, with merchandising partners. It's a really big move to the tentpole date, unquote. So Ayer had no way of pushing back the date. And if you've never seen one of David Ayer's films, like End of Watch or Fury, End of Watch is amazing, by the way, Sabotage, you would know that it's very usually contained, focused films. This is the first time he's ever worked on a big budget blockbuster like this on this scale. So to give him 6 weeks to write, then send him straight into pre-production, yeah, that's going to be an issue. And then you have someone in David Ayer who is used to having his own vision, not used to having to really necessarily work at executives on such a high level when it comes to such a big budget production. And it makes sense. As a producer, you should have the right. When you have hundreds of millions of dollars, which, by the way, starts out as loans mostly when it comes to production, yeah, you have a little bit of concern about your returns, so you want to have a lot of say-so to make sure you stir the course of the ship right, since you think you'd be experienced at this. Now, continuing on, these executives were meddling in, and they decided that they wanted some more, fun, a more edgy look to the way it was, because there was a production company. I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. It's somewhere in this article, but a different production company came in and made the second trailer for Suicide Squad. It was the one that had Bohemian Rhapsody. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Right. And everyone responded very, very well, as in comparison to the leaked Comic-Con trailer, which was darker, grittier, and things of that nature. It looked much more like a David Ayer film. But then people responded much more better, obviously, to this edgier, more pop look to it. And so with that mixture came in multiple cuts of the film. There was a cut that was more grounded and grittier and introduced characters more spaced out throughout the story. But then the executives came in and said, no, we want more cuts of this film that are more poppier, that use a different soundtrack, that use, it introduces all the characters at once in the story and very early on within the first 15 to 20 minutes. And basically, the film that we got was a blend of those two entirely different cuts, plus reshoots, thrown together to make whatever the film is. And now let me reiterate, I have not seen the movie yet. I don't know if it's fun or not.
You gotta protect your ass, dude.
I honestly do, because people would light a fire under my butt in the comment section. What do you mean? I don't know. I can't comment on that. But at the end of the day, if I watch this film and I come out of that theater and I say, God dang it, it is another Batman v Superman all over again, I'm going to be upset, because the same thing happened to me with Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman. I walked in, saw the theatrical cut of the film, was disappointed, really disappointed. But then months later, watched the 3-hour version of it and love the film to this day. Just like I said previously, I love this film and I love what he tried to do. It was different. It was dark. Loved it. Now, here's the thing. As much as people want to debate it, if you see a better version of the film that's not chopped up into little pieces and has all the character development taken out of it, well, yeah, you're probably going to like that film more.
Right.
Now, granted, you might not like the overall themes, the way certain things are handled, but at the end of the day, you're watching a complete whole movie. Yes, it may be longer, but it's better than watching a movie that's completely chopped up and not the original vision that was created. You'll have a more complete opinion based off a more complete product.
Right.
I'm not saying that that would have entirely changed the course of how critics viewed the film, but I definitely would say, of course, if you watch something one time and it sucks, you're not going to watch it again with high hopes, are you? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's automatically going to have some sort of, like, sting to it. Now, granted, there are a lot of us who are open-minded and are willing to try different things and different outlooks, but for the average moviegoer, it may not be something where you're like, yeah, I saw that in the movie theaters. We were all hyped. It sucked. Yeah, I don't want to buy that on DVD.
Definitely.
I don't want to see what it really was.
I mean, only like hardcore movie fans like you would see a movie in the theaters, not like it, and then see that a quote-unquote different version was released. They may not even think it's a different version other than like the special features. They're not going to buy it again.
Yeah, they wouldn't buy it again. But watching it, I was just like, man, just let your directors direct, man.
Yeah.
Let them create their product. And if it ends up being the same case with Suicide Squad, Warner Brothers is leaving money on the table. Because I guarantee you, because Warner Brothers wanted to make $1 billion with Batman v Superman. They ended up making around $880 million. They were short. That's why people consider it a disappointment, quote unquote. But I mean, my God, dude, that's $880 million.
Yeah.
But I honestly think they could have gotten close to $1 billion if they had released a 3-hour version.
Right.
Because overall, if you have a better cohesive vision, that's going to work better. And I think it's going to be the same thing with Suicide Squad. And I understand studios want to meddling into a film because, yeah, I'm all for that. Because, dude, you're a studio. You're the one funding this. You should have a say-so.
Right.
But at the same time, you hired a man or woman for a job, and you need to respect them. But at the same time, know when business needs to be taken care of.
Right. If you're gonna hire a director with the intent on making them your puppet, when you hire them, make sure they know.
Yeah, because I think it's different. I think when you look at a case of someone who works heavily with studio influence and it turned out well, Jurassic World by director Trevor Trevorrow? Good Lord, what is that man's name? But the director of Jurassic World, he worked heavily with the studios and trying to figure out what would be the best thing to give to people. And that film turned out well. Is it my favorite movie in the world? No, but it's a darn good film.
Right.
So, just guys, come on, man. Let people do their jobs.
Yeah. If you're gonna hire someone just to a year down the road say change this, this, and this, and you got 6 weeks to do it.
And adds so much pressure to a first-time director of a massive film like this.
Right. I don't see how that could ever come out good.
I don't know. Just guys, you need to focus. They really need to focus.
Well, this is actually kind of somewhat related. I know we're working on our segues, but we're talking about angry fans and just poor development. Pokemon Go. We've talked about Pokemon Go a few times, but usually positively. This episode is going to be a little different. So, just to give you some background. Pokemon Go, wildly popular. I don't need to go into that. I don't I don't need to get into that any further. But since then, a lot has gone down. And hindsight is 2020. When this game was about to be released, people who had played Ingress, which was Niantic's original game, Niantic's the developer, Niantic, however you say it. Their original game was Ingress. It was the same concept, it just wasn't Pokemon branded. Physically drive around to locations, battles, level up, AR, GPS, blah, blah, blah. All that.
Hey.
And when this game Pokemon Go was about to be released, fans of that game kept saying, look, I'm warning you guys, this developer does not respond to the community. They do not listen to the community. And everyone's thinking, oh, there's a Pokemon game, Nintendo's first legitimate endeavor into the mobile market, and plus Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are involved, they've got to listen.
Right.
Niantic it comes to be true that Niantic does not respond to criticism, let alone positivity. They don't respond to anything. If you go to reddit.com/r/Pokemon Go, or the Silph Road, SILPH, there are thousands of people suggesting ideas, going in and photoshopping to lay out exactly how it would work, these ideas that they have. And the Silph Road is this group that looks at it from more of like an almost scientific and mathematic perspective, looking at, well, if you find this Pokemon, what's the chance you're going to catch it, how to get this Pokemon, how to evolve that Pokemon. It's actually really interesting that this game can spawn like such a legitimately scientific community. And I think a lot of it has to do with kind of data mining a bit, but it also just has to do with trial and error, which makes it even better. Because there'll be threads of people, okay, I'll try this, and they come back, well, it didn't work, any suggestions? It's just really cool. There is also some websites being made, most notably Pokevision, where they were third-party companies, or just individuals, that use the data to show you what Pokemon spawn where. So when you open up this website, you go to like your house, you click it, and it shows that this Pokemon will spawn here, and it will go away in 10 minutes. So that's something. It goes against the design of the